Hey everyone, Selena here, founder, host, lead educator with the American Crochet Association. I'm here to share a brand new pattern. This is the first day it's ever been published, and I'm really excited to share it with you. So if you are watching, come on over, say hey, say hello, tell me where you're viewing from. Whether you're here live or on the replay, as soon as I see your comment, I'll get to it as soon as I see it. And if you're here live, then any questions, comments, feedback, it'll be part of the show. It'll be a fun conversation. So the backstory in this Granny Stitch drink tote is that every week for the past more than 6 months now, I've been hosting a crochet corner at my local yarn shop, and in that, sometimes I teach people to crochet. Like my really good friend who's also my neighbor wanted to learn crochet, and so Crochet Corner was just such a great opportunity to have fun with people that I want to hang out with and teach crochet. So she has learned, and she said that she wanted, she's always carrying a bottle of water with her, as we all are, a bottle of something, right? And she said that she loved the granny stitch and she really wanted to crochet a drink tote using the granny stitch. So I was like, okay, I've got you. So I did create this as a teaching tool because I'm teaching my friend, and this is the next thing that they wanted to make in their learning journey. And there were so many fantastic learning elements to this tiny little project that I decided to share it with the American Crochet Association, because not only do I like to share patterns, I like to share crochet patterns that have lots of teaching tools. So let's walk through this together so you guys can see the Granny Stitch drink tote. Here it is. It takes less than 1 skein of yarn. It creates something that you can put in your hand. Put in your hand. You can hold it with your hand. You can put it in your hand. It uses very basic stitches, so it just uses the chain and the double and the single. So it uses very basic stitches, but it does teach really fantastic skills. For example, it does work from the bottom up in joined rounds. So if someone wants to learn how to increase in joined rounds, as my friend does, then this is a great learning tool. This also has a very specific stitch repeat. So you have to learn how to read that stitch repeat in a very simplistic way. It also has a very simplistic row repeat to create this granny stitch pattern. And then there's some shaping involved. You are using a bunch of different basic stitches to create a project. So it's incorporating all of those basics that beginners are still trying to, kind of brush up on. And it creates something really fun that anyone can use. I will say, usually I would call this particular size or something like this a wine tote, because, for the longest time, I feel like, especially in the circles that I run in, like that's what you're putting in something like this. It's, going to be like a housewarming present, or maybe when you go to the store, you want to use a reusable bag. And so you have something like this to buy wine. But a few years ago, somebody called me out and they were like, wait a minute. Like, I don't drink wine, and I'm also teaching like young people to crochet, so I don't want to teach them how to crochet a wine tote. And I was like, oh, actually, like, yeah, you can put wine in this, but it's a great drink tote. So, I mean, this is my water. This, holds better, right? So, I mean, you can put water in it, you can put soda in it, you can put wine in it, whiskey. I mean, any bottle type thing. And in addition to it being like, something that you can hold drinks with, this is also fantastic for, you can put a snack in here. You can put your lunch in here. You can put a gift in here. So maybe you want to give like a candle and some washcloths to your friend, or maybe you wanted to hold something because you went shopping and you got some jars or something like that. So if it's this big, you can fit it in here, right? Okay. All right. So let's kind of walk through some of the resources and teaching tools, because I don't want anybody to miss those things. And very important, if you want to cut through all of this, if you just want to own a pattern that you can save, print, download, then I do have it linked here on Ravelry. I had a ton of pattern testers working on this, and we're going to look at those finished projects in just a second. And I'm going to show you this project on Ravelry. So first and foremost, again, this is worked in join rounds from the bottom up, but because I wrote this for beginners, I didn't want to put a bunch of complex techniques and things in there. So one of the things that I did not add to this pattern was the adjustable loop. And if you've been crocheting forever and always and you're familiar with the adjustable loop, you may go, like, just throw it in there, right? It is something that you can easily substitute. So if you're familiar with the adjustable loop, then you can incorporate it. However, I do find that with beginners, sometimes it's just one too many hurdles to overcome. Some people pick up the adjustable loop really easily, and some people, they just struggle with it unnecessarily, to where when you are teaching someone and you do only have so much time, you don't want to spend 10 minutes working on the fundamentals of the adjustable loop and why it is or isn't working. That's not always fun for people. So typically when it comes to beginner patterns, when I'm still teaching someone, when they're still learning how to put very basic things together, that's something that I just, I add to the list of learning for far later on. So anyway, this does not include the adjustable loop. That's why, but if you'd like to add it, then I do have some tips for you to do that. This is worked in joined rounds from the bottom up. I do use the double crochet stitch to do this, just because I think it creates a really nice tall stitch, but also, sometimes I like to match things in with what I'm already doing, right? So the granny stitch pattern up here uses these beautiful, long, tall, double crochet stitches. So I really wanted to show that same stitch repeat down here. So double crochet stitches worked in joined rounds from the bottom up. If you're someone who's looking to learn what this looks like, how to do this, how to count those stitches, all that kind of stuff, I do have a tutorial. I do have some tips, particularly if you are using those starting chains and it says, chain 3 counts as a stitch, and you're like, I don't really know what that means. Where do I join? What do I count? What do I not count? I definitely have some resources for you, because this, in all of my years of teaching and crocheting myself, what counts as a stitch and what doesn't, and where to put your hook, where to join, where to start, where to stop, that's probably the number one question people have in crochet. That's the thing people struggle with, even people who've been crocheting for a million years. So if that has always stumped you, or if you're looking to learn this once and for all for this pattern and any pattern, definitely check out this article. I also talk about how to count stitches because, much like what I was just saying, sometimes it's really hard to know, what counts as a stitch or what doesn't, particularly when there's a bunch of chains in your stitch pattern. Sometimes people don't think chains count as stitches, but everything in a row or a round, everything that you're doing, should count. It should count in terms of your final stitch count or the stitch pattern that you're making. The only exception to this is the starting chain, because that either counts or it doesn't. But after that, everything that you are doing in between the beginning and ending of your row or round, it counts. So the reason I'm saying that is that this particular pattern uses slip stitches, not only to join, but to move the starting location of your round. And some people overlook that and they're like, wait, there's no stitch pattern here. It's all the same. Or they are unsure of what that means, right? So I do talk about that, particularly for stitch patterns that incorporate things like slip stitches, not only to join, but to move. So if you want to learn more about that, this is your place. Okay, finished crochet tote bag projects. This is a pattern that I wrote very recently, and I was really excited to see that when I asked for pattern testers, I had a ton of people who were totally down. This was a quick project. It's an easy project. It's a skill builder. So it really is something for all of the skill levels. So it doesn't matter if you're still new to crochet or you've been crocheting for a while, there's something that is going to be fun and new and different, or at least easy for you to kind of work on. This is a great stash buster, so it definitely uses one skein or less, especially when you use the exact yarn that I used. However, I think that this is a fantastic project for you to kind of play around with other yarn brands. I do suggest using something like a worsted or a weight for cotton yarn for this, just because, that weight of yarn is everywhere. I feel like no matter where you shop for yarn, you're going to be able to find something in that realm. But also cotton is really durable, and I think that you need some durable stitches and durable fabric for something like, a drink tote that you're going to be toting around. Like, this has got to be a workhorse. So you want your yarn and stitches and fabric to really hold up after time. So I wrote it for those reasons with that yarn for those reasons. However, if you want to use a slightly larger yarn or a slightly smaller yarn, you can absolutely do that. And I actually have two fantastic examples for you. So one of my pattern testers was like, actually, can I use the new Bernat Maker yarn in a weight 5? Because I've got this huge drink cup and I really want to make something huge. And I was like, all right, go ahead. So this is that example. And I mean, I think this was like a 50-ounce bottle that's filled with liquid. Now, should you just hold this like this all the time? I mean, I don't know. Let's see how long it lasts, right? Like I wouldn't just hold it up like this all the time, but I think if you just want to carry it, if you want a better way to carry it, it's pretty cool, right? Especially if this particular cup didn't have a handle. I think that'd be pretty cool. So you can make something larger. Like this could probably hold like what, half gallon of milk? Like this can hold like a 2-liter bottle of soda. This could hold like your groceries, like a bag of rice and, your dinner supplies. I mean, really, she did make a drink tote. She made like a grocery tote. So very, very cool. I was so glad to see that. Okay. So if you want to use a larger yarn, go for it. Absolutely. It can just be a larger bag. Now, alternatively, Linda Woodthorpe, one of my favorite crocheters to follow, was like, can I make this in thread? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, you can. So you can see right here just how small this is. This is the crochet hook she used. So her little tote bag was like the size of a crochet hook, super tiny. And so, yeah, if you want to play around with different yarn weights, definitely do that to make something smaller or larger. I mean, what is this holding? Like a bottle of perfume, something like that. So something super tiny. So yeah, play around with yarn weights and that can be just kind of a whole other just kind of learning tool for you. Like, let me really play around with like yarn weight and gauge and size and see what I come up with. So definitely do that. And if you want more inspiration, then click on the link down below to find the blog link with all of this, including all of the finished Ravelry projects. Definitely check that out. That includes all of the yarns that people use so far. So the thread that I was talking about just a minute ago, Aunt Lydia's Classic 10 was used, and they did not post it, but I know that the yarn earlier was Bernat Maker. I'm almost positive. But so far, just a lot of like, weight 4s, cotton yarns, DK yarns, things like that. Don't be afraid to play around with color. You can make this in solid. You can make this in variegated and self-striping. So definitely lots of examples for you to check out. You can even stripe your yarn yourself. You can use, half variegated, half solid. I mean, really, I don't think there's a whole lot of wrong answers because the stitch pattern really lends well to you using whatever color you want. So enjoy. All right, if you dig this crochet bag pattern and you just want to find more crochet tote patterns, I got them at the American Crochet Association. And I've linked 3 of our most popular ones that do come in drink size. So this kind of classic drink size, right? So if you want more drink size patterns, then definitely check those out. Okay, how to make the Granny Stitch crochet tote bag. This is everything that you need to have and know and do. Starting with the yarn, I did use Peaches and Cream Stripey, and I used less than 1 skein in the color flannel. So if you want to quickly and easily find that yarn, I've got it linked here. I love using yarnsub.com, especially to find yarn substitutes. So if you want to know what other yarns could work equally well, just click on this link. I've already done all the hard work for you. So you'll find a current list of yarns that will substitute well. If you want to understand more about what substitution is for this pattern and this yarn, or any pattern and any yarn, definitely check out this link because there's also a handy cheat sheet there. If you just want my suggestions for what yarns you can use to substitute because you can't find the yarns that I've listed, or you don't want to use that yarn, here are some other yarns that I think would work really well. So you can click on any one of these links and find a resource to make a purchase. All the materials, again, everything that you click on will take you to a product or a resource, so definitely do that. Gauge, finish, size. I have written this in just 1 size for this particular project, but again, if you can use a larger weight yarn and make a larger project, smaller weight yarn, make a smaller project. So that's a really quick and easy way to kind of, alter the size if you want to. Stitch key, if you want to see any of these stitches in action because maybe you're still learning or you just not need to kind of see them again, this does just use basic stitches in their basic form. So chain, single, double. I do reference stitch and slip stitches to use here as well. And that is it. Here are all the instructions, very quick, easy, to the point. For formatting, just here on the blog, I do format each one of the steps to be a bullet point. It tells you exactly what row or round you're on. It tells you what the right side is. And then it also ends with a final stitch count. And that stitch count is not only for the total stitches, but it also tells you exactly what stitches are incorporated in that. So for example, round 6 should have 48 stitches, and those 48 stitches add up because there should be 24 double crochet and 24 chains. So I really want you to have as much information as possible so that you don't have any questions whenever you're walking through this. All right, and that's it. That's everything that I want you guys to know and have and do and learn to make the Granny Stitch Drink Tote. I hope you guys love it. Hope you use up all your stash yarn. I hope you have fun making it. And it's just such a fun project to make with your friends at Crochet Corner, or to teach people how to, you know, do very specific things in crochet. And it also, I mean, seriously, how fun is that? How fun, all right? If you guys work this up, or when you guys work this up, please post your project over on Ravelry. I'd love to see. It not only helps you to build your crochet resume, but it really helps inspire the crochet community to see what is possible. Also, come on over to our group to share your finished project pictures for this Granny Stitch Drink Tote, or for any of your crochet projects, including your crochet questions, because that's what we're all about. All right, everybody, enjoy this pattern. Peace, love, crochet. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.